behalf of the Igbo diaspora community in the UK, we welcome you, sir.
Thank you very much.
The Nigerian election of 2015 has come and passed. Sir, what are your reflections on the elections?
Well, the election is a mixed bag in the sense that the presidential election was keenly contested and many Nigerians showed interest in participating, especially in voting for the candidates of their choice. And at the end of it, a candidate emerged, as in every contest of this nature. One person will win. General Muhammadu Buhari of the All Progressive Congress won the election, and all of us who lost promptly congratulated him, and that was a new development in Nigeria's political culture, where the losers accept their loss and congratulate the winner. So that helped to douse the tension that was expected to follow the outcome of the election. So that is to that extent, yes, one could celebrate that there was a credible and acceptable election. But you know, there were two levels of the election. The second one that came up 2 weeks after, and that is the governorship and state house of assembly elections all over the country, degenerated to some very, very appalling level in the area of manipulation of the process. And so it didn't turn out to be as acceptable as the presidential election. And that is why we are beginning to see cancellation of elections in some places, and quite a number of people threatening, contestants threatening to go to court. Some are already in court. So the second election did not follow the pattern of the first one, which was the presidential election. That's why I said it was a mixed bag. But Nigeria is a developing democracy, and we believe that as we move on, things will get better. Our democratic process will get more credible, more transparent, and more acceptable.
The South, especially the Igbos, are now feeling very left out in the scheme of things due to the fact that they massively voted for Jonathan, who has lost. How did we get here?
I think a number of factors accounted for this. What you have observed is correct. The Igbo in Nigeria appear very much confused, almost like a rudderless ship, and there's no focused leadership. And the reasons are not far-fetched. The Igbo political elite led the generality of Igbo people to believe that President Jonathan, who is now the outgoing president of Nigeria, was everything that the Igbo people needed at the level of the presidency. So no plan was made for a situation in which the president would lose. So it was as if Igbo people put all their eggs in one basket. I stood for election on the platform of United Progressive Party, UPP, and I ran for president. But you'll be surprised that those who worked against me were mostly my Igbo people, especially the political elite, who created the impression that my running for that office was like a spoiler to the prospects of President Jonathan winning his second term in office. I warned that it was a very unintelligent gamble that some people were leading our people into. But being more like a lone voice in the wilderness, not many people considered my views. I had nothing against President Jonathan, but I thought that the massive Igbo support couldn't be given unconditionally, because Igbo people in Nigeria have so many issues that require presidential intervention. And it's only in a democratic system that these things can be factored into negotiations before you proceed to give any person your endorsement. But that didn't happen. And eventually, the opposition then, the major opposition party, which I just mentioned, the All Progressive Congress, won the election. And that left Igbo people in the cold, majority of them. But all hope is not lost. What has happened has cleared the cobwebs that blurred their vision, the vision of the, call them pseudo-leaders, really. And there is now the urgent need and the desire for a new beginning. And that is exactly what we are about to begin to do for the future. The Igbo race is a race like most other races of the world. And so they have taken what has happened in its stride, and we are going to redesign our attitude and focus, and we now know what leadership we can trust. That, again, is beginning to play out very quickly. So that is what it is. The Igbo people are not well situated in the scheme of things today, but all hopes are not lost. And so we are still expecting to get back to reckoning. And some of us are working on that. At least now that our fears, our predictions have come to pass, people like us will be taken more seriously when we propose options for political, if you like, resurgence.
When a little bit back to the 50s, even earlier than that, where the Igbos really were the powerhouse of that country. People like Sir Louis Ojukwu, the Louis Ojukwu is the Mbandi, is the King Jajas, if we can go a long way. Economically, these were very powerful people, and they brought a lot of progress to Igbo land. And in Nigeria at large, what really has happened to us? Is it the war? Or is there a lot more than that?
Honestly, if you are looking at the Igbo situation in terms of individual enterprise and progress made by persons, as you just mentioned some names, we've not done badly there. Where it's not, what the Igbo, the lamentation of the Igbo man is basically in the political sphere. But in terms of the economy, the Igbo man still occupies a respectable position. Whichever area you talk about, the Igbo out of their own industry, individual industry, skills, have been able to hold on their own. We in oil and gas, Igbo people are not lagging behind. In the banking or financial sector, they are holding out well. In the hospitality industry, they dominate it more or less in Nigeria. So many aspects of the business. I tell you that Igbo adventurism dated back to several centuries ago. There is on record that somewhere in Guzo, in Zamfara state of Nigeria, where Igbo people had settled for over 400 years now. And what it means is that Igbo people had been there 2 centuries before Othman Dan Fodio, a Fulani Islamic jihadist, came into Sokoto state from Niger, from Senegal to Niger Republic and then Sokoto to set up the Sokoto Caliphate. So we had been there. In Lagos, the same thing. And we are well entrenched. In Nigeria, there is no state, there are 36 states in Nigeria. There is no state in which you do not have the Igbo constituting the second largest ethnic group, second only to the indigenous population of that state. And it is said in Nigeria that anywhere you don't find an Igbo man living there, then don't bother to stay, because that means there is no life there. So that is the extent the Igbo people have taken their effort to make a living and to grow in their businesses. That's the extent they have gone. The Igbo area in Nigeria is far more developed than the rest of the country. But that was not because, that is not because of government patronage. It is because of individual and community efforts. There is gradually thinning out the difference between the rural and urban areas in Igbo land. I can very well say, but without any reliable statistics, that the per capita income of the Igbo man is higher than that of any other ethnic group in Nigeria. Again, as a result of personal enterprise. But all this seem to fade into insignificance when you now bring it to bear on the power equation and control of power, political power in Nigeria. And if you don't control political power, certain policies of government are skewed against you. There are social institutions and policies that are clearly anti-Igbo. And they wouldn't be so if Igbo had allowed themselves to show as much interest and put in as much energy as they put in their private businesses in politics. There are so many examples to be cited there. But maybe one very obvious example is that there is this policy in Nigeria of quota system, where people are drawn into offices or appointments made on the basis of the size and the number of local government areas of sections of the country, instead of basing appointments on merit. So this quota system sacrifices immediately merit. And so mediocrity is celebrated in the name of quota system, and that affects development. It has become so bad that people seeking for admission into tertiary institutions, for instance, who may have scored higher marks in a common examination called JAMB, Joint Admission and Matriculation Board examination. And if they come from the Igbo area, they will say that they come from the educationally advantaged area. And so your higher score will not gain you admission. Somebody who has scored far lower than you, sometimes 30% of what you scored, what the Igbo chap scored, will be given admission on the grounds that he came from educationally disadvantaged area. And so there is a quota that must become filled up by people from such areas. Again, quality is affected, merit is sacrificed. An Igbo presence in government will not allow such obnoxious policies to be enunciated and implemented. There are many other examples, but so the real problem is that Igbo people have to know that their individualism without a concerted effort for political empowerment is responsible for their situation, their deplorable situation in Nigeria.